Bro, I want you to meet Diana. She is 31 years old. She works in HR. She has a stable job. She lives in a nice apartment for today's standards. She earns exactly $67,000 a year. When you look at her from the outside, you think everything is going well. She tries to invest a little into her 401k. She spends on very unnecessary clothes and personal care products. She cooks for herself on Sundays. So she is someone most people would describe as responsible. But the confusing part is this: whenever she gets a raise, she doesn't feel like she is getting somewhere. She only feels like she is falling a little further behind. And bro, what I'm telling you goes much deeper than that. Because some people, no matter how much they earn, do not think they are rich. They only think they feel relieved. For them, getting a raise or earning a little more money does not really feel like success. And now, there is another part to this story. Diana has a problem that no one can see. She has $23,400 in debt spread across three different credit cards. A student loan of $28,000 that she took when she was a student and has been paying since 2015. And a car loan that she told herself, I'll pay this off quickly. But it is still there. Diana is not careless. She makes a budget. She tracks her spending. She behaves responsibly. But for about 6 years, she has not been able to answer one question clearly. What would I actually do with my money if none of this debt existed? Now meet Daniel. He is 43 years old. He lives in the same city. He earns a similar income. He makes $71,000 a year. And 3 years ago, he paid off his last consumer debt, his last credit card, his last student loan payment, his last car payment. All of it was gone. And he did it in just 18 months. His income did not change. His job did not change, and his life did not transform miraculously. But in the 12 months after his final debt payment, he invested more than he had in the previous 8 years combined. Why? Because there was finally room for the math to work. And that is exactly the main idea of this video. The personal finance world constantly teaches you how to pay off debt. But almost nobody shows you this. What happens the moment the debt is gone? What happens to your cash flow? What happens to your ability to invest? How does the trajectory of your life change? And bro, that is where the real game begins. Now let's look at Diana's numbers, because most people seriously underestimate the true cost of debt. Diana pays a total of $1,217 in debt payments every month, $520 for credit cards, $310 for student loans, $387 for her car. Total $1,217 every single month. And this money does only one thing: it leaves her life. It does not go into investments, it does not build wealth, it does not work for her. It only pays the bill for decisions she made in the past. Now get ready for the most shocking number. If Diana invested that $1,217 every month into an S&P 500 index fund, at an average annual return of 8%, in 10 years, she would have about $221,000. In 20 years, she would have about $716,000. Think about that for a second. $716,000. Diana is not losing this money, but she is not building it either. And this is exactly what most people do not understand. Debt is not just paying interest. Debt is giving up the wealth you could have in the future, quietly, without noticing, every month, without receiving a single notification. The total interest cost of Diana's current debts is approximately $26,100. That means she will pay $26,000 in interest alone. This money will never belong to her. It will never enter an investment account. It will never grow. It will simply disappear. Do you know what $26,000 represents? 3 years of Roth IRA contributions, a house down payment, the starting capital to launch a small business. So this is not a small number. Most people just never see it. I call this the debt tax. And bro, this tax does not go to the government. It is taken from your future. Invisible, quiet, but extremely expensive. Diana doesn't realize this. Most people do not. And that is why the day your final debt is paid off is a much bigger turning point than most people think. But this time, to the moment he made his final debt payment. Because the most important financial moment in most people's lives is not the day they make their first investment. It is the day they pay off their last debt. Daniel's highest debt balance was about $41,000. Credit cards, student loans, car loan. So a situation very similar to Diana's. When Daniel was paying off his debt, he used the debt avalanche method. That means he started with the debt that had the highest interest rate. He eliminated the most expensive debt first. Then he moved to the next one. And every debt he paid off gave more power to the next one. The first credit card was paid off. That payment was freed up. Daniel did not spend that money. He added it to the next debt. Then the second card was paid off. Then the student loan and then the car. And bro, this is where something very important happens. At first, progress seems slow, as if nothing is changing. But every debt that disappears increases your speed. Just like a snowball rolling downhill, small at first, then unstoppable. And one day, the final payment is made. At that moment, Daniel's freed up monthly cash flow was $1,340. Every month, $1,340 that could now go to the future instead of the past. And Daniel did not use that money randomly. He had a plan. Just like everyone else, he had an idea, and he knew that if he did this, he would go very far. First, he strengthened his emergency fund. He set aside 6 months of expenses because he did not want to go back into debt. Then he started capturing his full company 401k match, and this was like a guaranteed return independent of the market. Then he maxed out his Roth IRA. Then he invested everything else into index funds. Total monthly investment amount, $1,100 per month. Now, let's look at the numbers. $1,100 invested every month. 8% annual return. About $201,000 after 10 years. About $651,000 after 20 years. Daniel did not increase his salary. He did not win the lottery. He did not experience a miracle. He simply paid off his last debt. And the compound interest that had worked against him for years finally started working for him. And to be honest, this is where real financial freedom begins. But this is not just about money. When debt disappears, the only thing that changes is not your bank account. Your mind changes too. Research shows that people who completely eliminate their debt experience a significant drop in anxiety. They make better decisions, they behave less impulsively, they start thinking long term, because the brain does not see debt as just a number. It sees it as a threat, and a mind operating under threat can never think at full capacity. Behind every decision Diana makes, there is a silent question. What if things go wrong? Will I still be able to make the payments? Can I change jobs? Can I start a side business? Can I take a risk? The answer always comes back to the same place. Payments? Payments! Payments. Debt is not just a financial burden. It is an invisible career constraint. Daniel no longer asks this question because the equation changed. No debt, growing investments, strong cash flow. Now, one bad month does not destroy the entire system. And when the floor drops, the ceiling rises. When your minimum cost of survival decreases, the number of opportunities available to you increases. That is why Daniel later changed jobs while earning the same salary into a role with more upside potential. He could not have done that before because the risk was too high. Now the math was on his side. And now let me ask you the most important question. Are you Diana right now? Or are you Daniel? Are you financing the past every month or the future? There is nothing wrong with paying off debt. But if you do not understand the true cost of that debt, you're not seeing the full rules of the game. Because the issue is not just how much debt you have. The issue is what that debt is stealing from your future. And most people never calculate that number. That is why change never begins. If you have high interest debt, eliminate it first. Roll every payment from each paid off debt into the next one. Create your plan before the final payment is even made. Where will this money go? 401k, Roth IRA, index funds, emergency fund. Because if you do not have a plan, the freed up money will quietly be spent. And that is exactly the mistake most people make. The debt ends. But the wealth building process never begins. Daniel and Diana earn almost the same income. They live in the same city. There is no obvious difference in intelligence between them. From the outside, their lives look similar. But after 10 years, Daniel has an extra $200,000. After 20 years, the gap exceeds $500,000. And this gap does not grow linearly, it grows exponentially. Because compound interest loves time. And when you give it room, it quietly changes your life. Diana can get there one day too. Because she is disciplined, she is careful. She just has not seen the full number yet, not the debt balance, but the true cost of the debt balance. So ask yourself this question: how much is my debt really costing me? Not just in interest, but in lost potential wealth. Once you see that number, your perspective can completely change. Because the people who get out of debt the fastest are not the people who earn the most. They are the people who understand the true cost of staying in debt and decide they no longer want to pay that price. And maybe the most important financial decision that will change your life is not earning more. It is stopping the money you're paying to the past. If you are still paying for some things from your past like this, you need to stop it now. You should always focus not on the past, but on what you can do in the future. Now the ball is in your court. Good luck.